Hello, and welcome to Metachemistry. This is episode 128, and this is more of a rules review than a faction takedown because we're taking a look at Next Wave, but we kind of want to see what makes them tick and kind of give our first impressions of a faction that's been out for, at time of recording, a little less than a week. By the time this comes out, probably maybe a couple weeks. And we have Polynikes here joining us to talk about the newest Combined Army Sectorial. How are you doing, Reuben?
Good morning. I'm doing great. I'm actually really excited to lean into a sectorial for the first time ever, really.
Nice.
Right, yeah, you've been classically a vanilla Combined Army player as long as I can remember.
Yeah, and I still am at heart, but I'm going to play these guys at least a bit. I don't know if I'll bring them to big events or anything, but I'm definitely going to lean into them for local play.
Awesome. Yeah, they're really interesting, and there's going to be a lot to talk about, of course, but they aren't some crazy, overpowered, golden faction that I think some people might have been worried about. They definitely feel distinct. They have weaknesses, they have strengths, and that's generally what we're going to talk about. And then Ian is joining us as well for this discussion.
Yay.
Yeah. But before we get started, we want to thank Reuben here, who is the owner of Mo Games, for sponsoring Metachemistry. Mythic's Online Emporium is an online supplier for Infinity, which you can find over at mo-games.com. And as part of their sponsorship to Metachemistry, our paid patrons all get a 10% discount code at that store, and we raffle off a $40 coupon code every month. For that, you just have to be a member of our Discord, select the role, and you just need a US address for Mo to ship to. Because what's better than games? Mo Games. So, Next Wave. It's really interesting, and I haven't had as much time to come to grips with it as I would like. Partially I think mostly because not enough time has elapsed. Like, I've gotten in 2 games with them so far in the first week of release, and
Yeah,
they
that's
feel
awesome.
really odd. Like, list
Mhm.
building is such a puzzle for them. But to get started, why don't we talk about some observations about what they're good at? When you look through the Next Wave list, when you look through their fire teams and their unit availability, what are some of the things that are jumping out in terms of these are potent things to keep an eye out for? And Reuben, do you want to kick us off with that?
Sure. I mean, obviously, the white elephant will be Achilles, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as you look through things, they seem to have like almost a powerhouse in every category of thing you want to do, with the possible exception of hacking. Like you get
Mm-hmm.
Bit and Kiss, and they're serviceable. They're actually great, right? But you don't have anything like an interventor or an anathematic or anything like that. So you're a little low in the hacking department for the combined army, at any rate. Um,
Right. No
After
Apex hackers,
Right,
for sure.
exactly, and you're mostly gonna use, at least I did in my lists, you're mostly gonna use your hackers as support and defense, as opposed to,
Mm-hmm.
like, trying to hunt down things and target them or kill their hackers with your killer hackers.
Right.
Um,
I agree.
yeah. But other than that, you have pretty good categories of everything. Like, the Ironsides are great, the, Skyhound is great. Um, I think that my favorite unit in here is the Gearheads. Like, they're
Yeah,
really good support troops at what they do.
for sure. Yeah, gearheads are really
Yeah.
interesting. Like they're fairly cheap. Um,
Mhm,
like as far as most engineers go, especially in combined army, like they're cheaper than a med tech.
mhm,
If they don't have quite as much utility, but
mhm,
yeah, and they can fit into fire teams easily, being wild cards.
mhm,
So they can do some interesting stuff. And they're not just engineers either.
Yeah, you have your TAGCOM support there as well. So
mhm,
they got a lot of stuff going on. I like that they're AVA too because it forces some choices. Like, do I want the TAGCOM? Do I want the engineer? Do I want the hacker? Do I
mhm.
want the cyber plug? Because you can get most of that, but you can't get all of it. So
Right.
that's actually kind of
Right.
cool.
Yeah, the FTO's, wildcard is really cool because, amongst other things, it can go in with the tag,
Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly.
right? You can drag around your engineer or your mine layer to defend him or something like that.
Yeah, it is. I think it's very intentional that they have upgrade firewall and not FT or not Tinbot firewall.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. That would be kind of crazy.
For sure.
Yeah. The other unit that I'll mention right away is the Ironsides. I think that they're
Mhm.
very, very good for heavy infantry. They have the move, they have the BS, right? They have the combat instinct, the BS attack -3. They all bring tactical awareness, and their loadouts are all strong.
Albedo, combat instinct.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Techno-Organic because that's just makes the list more versatile with your specialists.
Mm-hmm. When the rule was spoiled, I kind of hoped it was going to be a disadvantage to bring points
Mhm.
down.
Fair enough.
Sure.
Like you have to be medicked by somebody who's both a doctor and an engineer, and then everyone could lose 2 points for having that
Sure.
or something. Of course, we have Doc Worm, so it wouldn't really matter most of the time. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that is one thing that we'll talk about here shortly in terms of weaknesses in the faction. Is definitely in part their cost, but I would
Mm-hmm.
say that one thing that stands out to me is that they are really good at leveraging potent irregular troops and kind of they're for irregular troops. Like if you're thinking of like generic war bands that are in the like 5 to 10 point range, they are not that for sure. But
Not at
when
all.
you're looking at the tech dragons,
Mm-hmm.
they punch above their weight for sure. Like even so, the steel jaws, for example, at 18 points, that is a great profile. Like that is more than worth 18 points easily, and part of that is due to being irregular. And so all of the Fireteam Master options, being able to take those points, make them regular, and kind of leverage profile discounts in that way, even though they're not like ludicrously cheap. I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
big strength of the faction is taking these the tech dragons of either variety really plays a lot into their game plan, and they can fit in almost every fire team.
Yeah. They it is important to make them regular though. Otherwise you end up with just way
Right.
too many irregular orders, which of course opens you up to getting your fire team leader killed.
Right.
On that note, fire team, what's the ability that makes people regular in fire team? Fire team master.
Yes.
That
Yes.
ability changed,
Mhm.
and I didn't notice it for the first like week. Did you notice the
In
change?
in the large update that just happened.
Yes. Fire team master doesn't exactly do what it used to do.
I do remember that there was a small wording change. Now I'm kind of curious. I know I wrote it down.
The big change is that fire team master, with or without any text in it, makes everyone that's in it irregular regular.
Mhm.
Right. So it used to be fire team master hungries only made hungries regular, and that's what it did.
That was always the case.
Right.
It just never
But
mattered
but
because
now
there weren't other irregular things.
right.
But
Right.
Fireteam Master Hungries didn't just make Hungries regular.
It made
The
everybody
wording
regular.
change,
Mhm.
yeah, made everyone regular. There was just no option to include other irregular troops until next wave. Like it just didn't really
Right.
it just
Then
didn't really come up. The change was that they listed that the bonus to fireteam coherency, if the entire team
Mhm.
is regular, doesn't
Mhm.
stack with other bonuses. So if you have inspiring presence, I think
That
inspiring
one,
presence extends fire teams now
it does.
as well. So if you had
Okay.
a fire team master in
Right.
and a inspiring lieutenant, then you wouldn't get 12-inch coherency on your fire team. That's the only change.
And I think it added a new cancellation clause, or maybe that was always there and I had missed it because I didn't use it. Right? If the fire team master dies and any of the listed things are in the fire team breaks,
Yeah,
regardless of
that
who the
was
leader is.
there before, and
Yes.
that's purely a downside.
Right. Of course, it's purely downside.
Right.
I just didn't know it because I never used it. Okay.
Yeah, it was not a super common rule since it's been introduced. So
Right.
yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's how, even though the rule didn't change, I feel like that's how the vast majority of people read it anyway. It's like almost Mandela effect territory.
Yeah,
I
close.
think part of it is that people assume that like, oh, it has a label, it applies to that label. But
Right.
all it is that the downside applies to that label and that's it. But it's otherwise all upside for everything else, which is really interesting because I was expecting like Drakios to have Fireteam Master Tech Dragons
Right.
or Steeljaws. And I was expecting, Pandora had stingers, and I expected Patroclus to have Fireteam Master rain dancers.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, oh, it does affect everybody already. Oh, so it doesn't really
Right.
matter. And then they came out with just pure Fireteam Master with no qualifiers, which obviously is even better. So yeah, I think that's really interesting, and it makes the army function. Like without that, I think the Sectorial would suffer heavily. I think it would be very difficult
It'd
to
be
play.
real hard. Yeah, be real hard. I agree.
But Ian, what about you? Any standouts in terms of like what kind of makes this faction powerful, or things that you were worried about? If you hear your opponent announce next wave as their faction across the table.
I wouldn't say there's anything I'm necessarily worried about, but that's just because I'm, a fairly decent player. I'm not not the best, but fairly decent. So I kind of take things as they come. But as far as things that like make the faction like really awesome, I think that they just have a lot of good cross utility in their units where they're not necessarily good at just one thing. Like a lot of their units are good at a couple of things. So, for example, like I really like the cliff jumpers. They're
Mhm.
not necessarily like a super flashy jump unit, but they have just enough extra on them with the bonus to the combat jump and the bonus to dodge and things like that, and the extra attack on their ballistic skill attack, things like that. I think that they have a lot of potential to really be super useful, because you can bring them in to be a flank harasser, or to be a specialist, or to do any of the stuff that a combat jump or parachutist guy does. But they just get that little bit of a tweak with some stuff with the plus dodge and the bonus to combat jump. So I think
Mhm.
For sure.
that's kind of cool, and that's like not unique to the cliff jumpers. There's a lot of stuff like that throughout the faction where like harbingers having combat instinct. Like
Mhm.
what line infantry has combat instinct in this game? Like,
Right.
or something equivalent. And they have a bonus to dodge. So I think there's just a lot of really good utility skills and combinations throughout the
Mhm.
faction that I think are going to catch some opponents off guard when you're not expecting like combat instinct line infantry,
Right.
or
You can be like, oh, that guy has that too. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
the guy that came in is just all of a sudden now he's not dodging on a 13 instead of on a 10.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think that on the note of harbingers, I think they're actually really key to the army,
For sure.
more so than line infantry and other sectorials, in my experience.
Yeah.
Like if you play Morath, you take your paramedic, and that might be it,
Mm-hmm.
right? These guys, you're probably running 3 or 4 harbingers almost every list. At least
Yeah.
I have in the ones I've been building.
Well, and having a
Yeah.
line infantry that's a combat instinct hacker,
Right. Right.
like
Because he's not an amazing hacker, but
no,
he can
Right.
do the
but
job.
you have the cheapest option that even if he's
Mhm.
not in a fire team is
Mhm.
still the ignores stealth hacker.
Hmm. Boy, I wanted him in Combined Army Vanilla so badly. From the moment he was spoiled, I was like, "Oh, please! We got all the other line infantry. Please put these in Vanilla."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what's kind of interesting about their InfoWar package. I mean, like Reuben was saying, they're not top tier hackers. Nothing in the
Mhm.
faction is like a high tier
Mhm.
hacker even. Like the
Mhm.
best that you've got is Pandora, who's solid, but she's not even who I would consider an amazing hacker by any stretch. She's just good. But
Bait and kiss are better than she is for sure.
Mm-hmm.
that's probably true. I think they're more
Yeah.
versatile.
Right.
But yeah,
They're also not going to
but
get your fire
she's
team
slower
leader
wit.
killed when you're running bit and kiss around.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the faction has pretty good repeater projection in a couple facets. Like obviously the pictures on
Mhm.
Bit and Pandora, but also things like we'll talk about later, I'm sure, like the Sartroid puzzlers and
Yeah.
contrabandoleros and things like that. I
Do
think
you want to do those
the hard
now?
scale
Because
one.
they're one of the things that really changes both Vanilla Combined Army and this.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Cyberplug is a really
Mhm.
kind of out there rule. Like it
Yeah.
pulls from a lot of different sources. I feel like
Mhm.
it's got a little bit of peripheral control. and a little bit of Peripheral Serpent, and a little bit of Ghost Jumper. And so the short version for those that aren't aware, in order to take a peripheral cyberplug, you must have a controller that has the cyberplug special rule. In our cases, what we're talking about are going to be the MedTech or the Gearhead with the appropriate profile, and allows you to take up to 2 per controller of the Sartroids, which are the cyberplug peripherals. And if the controller activates them...
So yes, you're right. You could take 4 of these things if you wanted to.
I guess you could take even more, because you could take 2.
They're
you could take 2
88
cyberplug.
each.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
those are the only options. Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
But they have a connected profile, which is if the controller activates and then is running them, then they get a boosted profile. But they can activate without, whether they are either not being controlled actively or the controller is dead, perhaps, or what have you, and they can move independently. With their autonomous profile, which is much worse.
They operate either as a variation of peripheral control or as an independent unit you can spend orders on, and they don't go disconnected when the controller goes down.
Right, which is a real powerful ability.
Yeah.
And the drawback, of course, being they don't generate orders. How many points do you want to spend on guys who don't generate orders? Unlike puppets, they're not like super cheap.
Yeah. Right, and the faction already has a really high floor. Which, again, we'll talk about here shortly once we get to some of the general weaknesses.
Yeah.
But, so your puzzler variants are your infiltrating dinosaurs. Presumably dinosaurs. They're size 5. We haven't seen the models yet, but I'm guessing they're more raptor-like creatures.
I didn't think that, because they don't have techno-organic. And they're remotes.
Oh, that's true.
They're full
unlike
remotes.
The dinosaurs. Yeah, they're just
Oh,
some
that's
weird
fair.
S5 remote. Maybe the EI
Just big
decided to
remotes.
make a robotic dinosaur to go with the real dinosaurs. And
There we go. That could be.
And then make them hidden.
Yep.
That's wild.
So
the hidden deployment is wild.
It really is,
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. They've got really interesting tech. Like they have the either one-use camouflage infiltrator or the hidden deployment infiltrator, and they're all non-lethal weapons on them, but they have a pile of skills that look similar in some regard to the steel jaws, like the like dodge bonuses / penalties, the mimetism, the size 5, and things like that. They are only one structure, to be fair.
Surprise attack -6 making a bonus appearance outside of the Yair.
Yeah, right.
Which is awesome. You combine that with their para-CC weapon -6, and that is just if you jump someone and stun them, that'd be hilarious. Maybe not your best option, but
for sure. But but they both have options for deployable repeaters, which is really interesting. So if you get to go first, you can place a deployable repeater infiltrated, in an order, and there's 6/4 move or 8/2 move if you have the controlled profile. So you can really get somewhere. Especially
so they also have
one, for instance.
Weirdly, infiltrate PH12, which means 9s to do it correctly. Right? But that means that, for 12 points, you could just try to have effectively a repeater on the enemy side of the board.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if I like that as game design. I don't like it on the bandits, for example.
Well, at least it's a less than 50-50 chance, but not by much.
Yeah.
I don't love it, but it is an option. Yeah, it's something you can try, and it might pay off.
Yeah, but they're also fast, and he ends up on your side of the board. Whatever.
True. It's not the worst, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And then the other variant, the Ranters, are gun platforms. They're forward deployment 4 inches with MIM 6. The controlled version is BS 13. They have mostly mid-range guns in the Mark 12 and the Spitfire, and then they have SMG Thunderbolt. One thing that's important to know about all of the Sartroids is that they also count as peripheral servants effectively for your doctor / engineer.
Right. They should prevent you from having those, which is weird. You can't have 1 and 1.
Yeah, you either get souped up cyberplug models or you get basic servants, but yeah, you can't mix.
And the hidden deployment one is really interesting because if you just have a cyberplug guy out there, they don't know if there's a hidden deployment guy out there also.
Yeah.
Right. And that could be an Emerat out of nowhere.
Right. There could just be an Emerat hiding or a guy waiting to drop a repeater when you walk around the corner.
Yeah, so they're really interesting, and this is a brand new rule that so far we've only seen in in Next Wave. And so I'm curious if this is something we'll see other places or not. I feel like I don't know if this is something that would be considered like voodoo tech, where it's combined army specific, or there'll be variants in other factions.
They're very similar to drummers also.
Mhm.
Right. So other guys have all the similar stuff to this. Mankind Army just gets the best version of it, which is kind of fitting.
I mean, from a certain point of view.
Well, from a lower point of view.
Sure,
right?
sure. I know
Mankind
what you
Army
mean.
has the best technology. That's okay. So we have a very similar rule. It's just a little bit better. Okay. I get it.
Yeah.
Well,
But yeah, so they've got pretty good projection and being able to nullify stealth in their hacking area very efficiently is really helpful.
for
Like,
sure
not
there.
nullify stealth, but effectively.
Yeah.
Your opponent could just say, I'm going to try and eat the one or
Mhm.
maybe two Harbinger hacker arrows and just keep moving to not break stealth and let everybody do stuff. But generally speaking, you're negating stealth.
Yeah. In the same vein you were talking about the contrabandoleros, they fill a very similar role, right? And they have the upgraded infiltrate physical, so you could do the same shenanigans. You're trying to jump across the line, and they're hidden deployment, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So
They are.
you can roll and be like, you can put a camo token on their side of the board, which is his mine. I think that's hilarious, right? And then have the guy somewhere
Right.
else with the zapper.
Yep. Have to be careful coming around the corner and it was a shotgun. Oh,
Right.
EM
Exactly.
templates.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
I like the contrabandoleros a lot. Yeah, they infiltrate on a 13 after the penalty.
That's not bad.
Yeah, +3 to dodge. Yeah, hidden deployment and camo, so they can go back in if they need it, get that surprise attack again. Yeah, they're real nice.
Yep. And they all have zappers, which is one of my favorite sidearms in the game.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like, there's a fair amount of EM templates scattered around the faction, which I kind of think is another conditional strength of theirs, where you have to be careful, or you might just have an attack run shut down or a model out of nowhere being bricked.
Yeah, there's a lot of EM
not
mines
easy.
as well. So yeah, there's a lot of EM.
As a dedicated combined army player, there's way too much EM in the game, and they should cut that shit out.
There is a lot, and I feel like there is increasing amounts of EM, which I kind of like that there is a fair amount, but I don't want it to be maybe quite as common. The other thing,
they keep giving more and more to Ariadne, so that's what's really kind of weird and yet also awesome.
Yeah, like
you think
the
Moraths
other
use
thing
it all the time.
Yeah.
Right. There's no downside. Yeah.
Right. You just carpet bomb the whole board with a giant EM bomb before the Moraths start moving out. They're like, yeah, good.
Yeah, we already know what we're doing. Sure.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of the other thing, is the proliferation of Warhorse unhackable models in the last update, I feel like was a little much. Like, I don't love that there are so many additional models that ignore some of, primarily Oblivion. Like, if they're hackable models, they should be hackable models, and Warhorse should be like something special. But I feel like that has shown up on a number of units that, I don't know if it's too much, but it feels like it is a lot.
I get surprised every once in a while by somebody having Warhorse I didn't expect. But
yeah,
overall, on like the hackers that you generally see, at least I generally see, they don't have it.
No, I mean like heavy infantries and tags and the like.
Oh, sure. There's a couple of those going around too. Yeah,
like the Ulan just got it, the Anaconda just got it, the Orcs in Varuna all got it, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. The tag should be hackable. That's its downside, and stop trying to trim away the the downside.
Well, then there's the extra fun of what is it? The veteran Kazakh has Warhorse and immunity to immobilize B because Ariadne.
Right. They've given that immunity B to pretty much all the low tech power armors, including Ruby Monday, right?
Yep, but then it's like the Vet Kazakh also has Warhorse, so he doesn't care about your hacking, your EM, like any of your info war. He's just like, nah, we're good.
Right. That's not his. That's not his weakness.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Where were we on the next wave?
I think that we're probably ready to move on to faction weaknesses, unless there were any lingering bits that either of you wanted to add for strengths.
I think weaknesses is a definitely a thing that we can jump right in on, because I think we all got some stuff to say about it.
Go
Yeah,
for it.
yeah. Like the obvious one, of course, is the really high points floor of the faction. That's definitely the biggest one, where you get one 7-point R drone for your flashbot. Icadrons moved up to 11 points and arguably are worse than they were.
Yep, hate them now, but yeah.
Yeah. And then you move into like 13-point line infantry, and that's kind of it. Like there's no Imitrons or things like that.
For the combined army, 13-point line infantry is the cheapest line infantry in the combined army still.
That's true. They all are 14 otherwise, yeah.
Right? Yeah, the cheapest ones,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I agree. Everything is generally expensive without the little things to smooth it out. And as we discussed, their regular guards aren't even cheap to smooth it out. So
Right.
that kind of goes back to the point I was saying about the harbingers being really key to your list building. You just need to take more of them in order to afford anything that's actually expensive.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I've run into as well. Like I ran like effectively kind of a top heavy limited insertion list, and I ran a more like kind of general list that looks more like what I'd play in other factions. And yeah, the second list, which is like mostly cramming a bunch of fire teams primarily, is using 3 harbingers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you definitely need something to make room.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why
Yeah.
Cyberplug is kind of awkward, because those are units that, while they don't lose you orders, they don't produce orders either. And those are, like, sure, I guess you can get 12 points on one of the puzzlers, but that's the cheapest you get.
Yeah, and that's almost a regular order in this army.
Yeah. And then the thing that I've noticed, and I'm going to complain about this perpetually every time I see it, but yet again, we have a Cube Jaeger that's useless.
Oh, I love the Cube Jaeger. What do you mean?
I love the Cube Jaeger too. It's a wonderful model. I think it's super awesome. I wish that they had a faction where they didn't have another parachutist or combat jump model that was in kind of the equivalent points range that competes with and gets taken over it every time. So, like, we have the cliff jumpers. They're not that much more expensive. They're just better, like 3 points more, and they're just better.
They are very good. I mean,
Well, the Cube Jaegers are always specialist, and you can get the 15-point shotgun version. And the Cliff
Yeah.
Jumper, the only specialist option is 23. Oh no, there's a 22-point forward observer.
still, that's a
Yeah.
lot of points in this faction, right?
And that is fair. My complaint is more that the Cube Jaeger gets overshadowed in every faction that it's available, and I really want to see it be in a faction sectorial where it is the go-to choice, because it doesn't necessarily have something else competing for that slot.
So it was in vanilla Combined Army for a long time. It was by far the cheapest parachuting, not combat jumper, a specialist you could get, like half the points value of anything else. But that has changed recently, and he's not in vanilla Combined anymore, I think.
I love the models. I think they're great. I love the idea. They just I struggle justifying taking a Cube Jaeger almost every time that I'm building a list.
Yeah, and being another irregular doesn't help.
Yeah.
Right. And this faction doesn't at all. I agree. Not that he'll
it
probably
does
ever
feel,
generate that order.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of an odd fit, but yeah. Oh, and I guess technically we do have the Glyph Warcores, but again, they are irregular. They are actually the cheapest unit in the faction at 4 points.
And they're 1 point more expensive just to get in there.
They have +3 dodge.
Yeah, I agree. Just like the Nexus they come from.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just like They purposely, and that's fine, right? They leaned into everything being a little more expensive for this faction.
Mhm.
Well, if you're going to get the best toys, right?
Right, yeah. No, I'm totally fine with that. Um, I
Yeah.
guess sort of on that note, the Nexus got a lot better. I don't know if they're gonna see any play even with their betterness, but
Mhm.
their BS went to 13, which is pretty outstanding. They got mimetism, which they didn't have. I think that
Mhm.
their BTS definitely went up. Their armor may have gone up.
Mhm.
And in this list, they bring NCO and they can wild card in. So
Yeah.
if you're not having an active lieutenant, the Nexus is a great option for that.
And number 2 is great for that because
Sure.
yeah, the fire team doesn't break and you don't have to reform it when it's not a legal team anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's really important sometimes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially with how, and this kind of ties into another potential weakness, is the fire teams are generally very flexible, but they tend to be kind of caught on a linchpin. Like there is
Mhm.
usually, for most of the fire teams, there is a unit that you
Mhm.
must have. So, like Team
Right.
Achilles, you must have Achilles.
Sure.
The Shadow Team, actually, I think they changed that because I feel like in the preview chart it must have been Patroclus, but now you can do it around a Harbinger or Achilles.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the Shadow Fire team seems really core to the army because of how
I agree,
versatile it is there, right? And everyone
for
counts as
sure.
a shadow except for Achilles, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the research teams have to be
Mhm.
around Pandora, Harbingers with
Mhm.
Harbingers, Drakios and the Dragon team. Like they're
Mhm.
pretty restrictive. And so a lot of those are characters that if they get sniped out, you cannot
Right.
make those teams again.
And in a lot of those cases, you want that character as the team leader, like particularly
Right.
Patroclus, right? He wants to move up and
Hmm.
shoot something with his missile launcher, but he could just get crit and die. It happens. And then, yeah, your fire team's gone and you cannot reform it in some cases, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that that is kind of a double edged sword for them. Like they can make a lot
Mhm.
of really interesting fire teams, but yeah, picking out the characters is going to really make them suffer. Those are also all of their fire team masters.
Mhm. Exactly.
Drakios, like Pandora, Patroclus. So
Yeah.
then you're not
If
quite getting rid of more orders, but you are kind of getting rid of half orders almost
Right.
by turning
And
all of those members irregular again.
and if you go into turn 3 with, like, 6 irregular orders, like, yeah, you're probably in trouble,
Yeah.
Right. It's like,
right?
oh, I didn't think I was in Lost Lieutenant, but it
Right,
feels
but,
like it.
yeah. It's an interesting design concept because they're looking at, like, we brought this army together, but really not very well from an organizational standpoint. I kinda
Mhm.
like it.
Yeah, for sure. I
Right.
think
That these are.
thematically it works very well for
Right.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that's. I like that there are like hero modules in the forms of these fire teams. And so you can
Mhm.
kind of pick a little bit of what capabilities you want to bring, depending on which heroes you want to accompany. So like,
Mhm.
that's kind of fun. But it does make, and kind of another weakness is that list building feels very awkward. And maybe this won't be the case after a little while. But right now it feels very much like a puzzle where
Mhm.
it's kind of a hard time making like every piece fit. Like, oh,
Mhm.
nope, I have to take that out. Oh, but that
Right.
means this fire team won't work anymore, which means I need to switch out several of these units and go a different direction
Yeah,
or
I
things
did a
like
lot of
that.
that for sure.
Hmm.
There's also some new ways of thinking in the list building. Like just an example from one of my lists, I've got the med tech and the slave drone in there, and that's great. They're going to do their thing. And then after I'm staring at it for a little while, I'm like, or for very similar points, I can have a gearhead engineer with his hidden puzzler, and the hidden deployment puzzler
Hmm.
can act as the servant bot. If I can anticipate where I want my tag to be, it's already up there.
Right. Yeah.
And that's really interesting. I kinda used to do it with the Caliban engineer, start him up there infiltrated. It's kind of the same idea.
Right. Yeah. And so that's pretty cool. And luckily, the puzzlers in particular are fast enough that they can get kind of where they want to be as long as you're in the ballpark.
Right. Yeah, if you're in the right quarter of the board, you're probably fine.
Yeah, but I think that's a really fun distinction. Like, do you want to splurge on this super servant bot?
Mhm.
And yeah, I feel like in some other factions with a lower points floor, a cyber plug could get wild if they
Mhm.
had, similar options,
Yep.
and I mean, that's a
Mhm.
lot of
I
speculation
mean,
that,
they're in vanilla. Not that we have a super small points floor right now, but I will definitely be playing around with them in vanilla because I've always loved puppets, and that's
Mhm.
basically what they are.
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's really interesting and trying to fit semi-expensive peripherals. I mean, the peripherals, like kind of on their own, they seem really good, but there's a lot of
Mhm.
opportunity costs there in this faction in
Mhm.
particular.
Yeah. Again, it's like a drummer, right? The drummer unit's expensive, but you get
Mhm.
this awesome drummer bot and the girl and her other drummer bot, maybe, right?
Yeah, I love drummers. Like I saw that art when the lore book dropped. I'm like, I need to play this faction. Like, give me
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And
I
so
fished
here
around
I
the
am with a couple
HRMC a
boxes
little
of
bit.
drummers.
Yeah. Only S5 and probably look like dragons.
Right.
Yeah. Um,
But
so yeah,
yeah,
I think
other
the biggest weaknesses, right, that I'm seeing is average high points cost on things. It makes it kind of hard to get to 15 orders, which you don't necessarily have to do,
Yeah.
but you want to. And the modular pieces where you can pluck things out and affect the army overly much by those kills.
Mhm.
And I guess to another extent, that means like you don't want to have some of those guys on ARO because you don't want to lose them, even if they're really good ARO guys, like Patrocles.
sure. Yeah, I agree. They feel kind of they're definitely a fire team faction in my mind.
Oh,
Like
for
I feel
sure.
like they kind of have to be. Like they
Mm-hmm.
want to lean into a bunch of fire teams. The design certainly implies that.
Mm-hmm.
And but those fire teams are built on these linchpin characters. And so,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you can assassinate them, then yeah, they will struggle
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
And you can out hack them fairly easily, I'd say.
Yeah, like they can set up pretty good projection, and some hackers can defend themselves reasonably well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you can, as long as you have a firewall benefit, then that's something, but you're not always going to get that. Like
Right.
Pandora through a firewall with zero pain, for instance, is going to be fairly resilient.
Yep.
Bit is going to be, at least fairly resilient, being able to fire back with Trinity
Mm-hmm.
and get a reasonable whip again. So like that helps, but yeah, I mean, against any actual dedicated hacker, they don't really have anything that quite competes. They have to make up for it in quantity, in which case that's a very specific direction you're pointing the build all of a sudden. If you want to have, oh, well, I need a Harbinger, and I need Bit, and I need Pandora,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe like a Killer Hacker Contrabandolero,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, well, that's a significant chunk of your list all of a sudden.
Right. And they're all kind of average at their job. So I don't know if you really want to do that.
Yeah, it's mostly just like, can you get through by like weight of hackers rather than by quality? And some
Yeah.
factions can do that, but I feel like it's hard in next wave, but
Right.
possible.
These are not 14 point whip 13 kappas we're talking here.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Or 18-point interventors.
Right. Exactly. Um,
Interventors.
right. It's interesting that the T drone doesn't link in this faction like he does in Mini.
Mm.
Yeah,
Right. There's no
there's
combat
no
or
FTO version.
right. No FTO version. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of that. I don't think they're really going to try for guided that much.
I'm
Right. It
fine with
doesn't
that.
seem. Yeah. Me too. I'm just commenting
Yeah.
on it as a.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's it's one of those things. Them not having the tools to lean into it, like they can do it, but
Mhm.
not necessarily well. That helps to lend a little more faction identity to this versus other
Mhm.
thing. Where I like that not every faction is great at doing everything, and
Yeah.
this
I
is a
agree.
part of that.
Hmm.
Mhm.
For sure.
Kodaly is still meh.
Which is sad.
You
She's
just
so cool.
I know.
She's
She's one of
pricey
my
for one
favorites.
wound.
I brought her to Krug this year, right? She
Hmm.
died in every firefight she had to get into, but won me 2 games. So,
Yep.
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, she's an awkward piece.
Yeah. She has a new Fireteam profile with number 2 on it, which is actually her cheaper
Hmm.
profile, and it's probably playable. It's fine, but I don't know if she'll get a lot of game time.
I doubt it, honestly, because that specifically the FTO2 is the one with
Mhm.
number 2, and it must go in the Team Achilles fire team. And
Mhm.
so you can take her with Achilles. So that's, she's 30 points. That's 62 or 3
Right.
points for Achilles. And then you're going to, if you're forming that anyway, you want a bonus somewhere. So you're taking another hero.
Right.
So you're looking at 100 point, or 100 and probably 20, 30 point Harris,
Mhm.
even if you just want to stop there.
So
It's like,
let me jump on Achilles for a second there. Like him being
sure.
linked is totally unnecessary, right? I've when he was 10
It's
points
never
more
the point.
expensive. No, right, I know. When he was 10 points more expensive, I'd run him twice, and he's pretty much soloed the enemy army.
Yeah.
I I think that it's a totally valid strategy, not that I like it, just to take him as your lieutenant, either one, and just drive him into the enemy and kill as much as you possibly can, which will
Mhm.
be a lot, right? And there's no great way to stop him.
I kind of like pairing Achilles. I did run a Team Achilles duo with Pandora that felt really nice
Sure, if you
because
need
then
to
she's
drag her
extra
somewhere to do an
support.
objective, right?
Hmm. Or Patroclus is a specialist who brings smoke, which
He's
I
the
think
only
is
smoke, I
interesting.
think, right? That's another drawback from
Uh,
them.
yeah, true. There's almost no visibility control in the faction. There's
Right.
Yeah.
one disco baller on the iron side, which is a fine profile, but not.
Right. And it's
Is
like a
that the
30,
profile
40
you want
point
to spend
profile.
on it? Right. Yeah, so you've got the 36 point multi rifle flamethrower disco
Mhm.
baller iron side. You've got the Patroclus, which is around the 30 to 35 point range.
Mhm.
And that is it. There's no white noise in the faction, notably.
That's right. Yeah.
So, like, visibility control is very difficult. And I
Yeah.
don't feel like they have necessarily, they have some powerful gunfighters, but I don't think they have there's nothing that compares to, say, like something in Neoterra or other like gunfightery factions. They have good
I
stuff,
think
but not
Tusser
the
does.
best stuff.
I think Tusser compares to all that.
Yeah, maybe I guess if we're talking the Feuerbach with a special die,
Right.
then maybe.
Yeah. I mean it's a real powerful shooter, right? He's gonna be is that 3 dice on 14s? Right? Pretty hard
Yeah,
to yeah. I guess
yeah,
it's not like
that's fair.
5
He's
dice on
solid.
17s. I get that.
Yeah, like I think that he's pretty good, to be fair. Yeah, I think that's
Mhm.
reasonable, but I don't know about like I don't know. I feel like they don't have stuff that's necessarily quite at the same level, but T-Series is probably close. I think you're right.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then
He's
he's an
definitely
interesting opportunity cost because then you don't get your plasma sniper unless you take Unitrons, I guess.
yeah.
The plasma sniper's so nice.
It is. It's really nice on the vector operator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, not what we're talking about.
I
Right, right.
do feel compelled to point out that there is an unfortunate drawback to how they've constructed this sectorial, and that's that we can no longer have the 4 Achilles duo
Right. I
with
remember that.
Patroclus.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sad that
yeah.
it didn't return. I totally get why, but it was such a cool concept. Here's
Yep.
my 4
Didn't that
Achilles. Which one's real?
Mhm.
didn't that leave in N4 with Hollow Projector level
Yes.
I
3?
think it did,
Yeah, because
yes. Right.
Patroclus left in
Right.
N4. So,
They could have
yes,
brought it
I guess
back is
it's
the
true.
point.
Yeah, they could have brought it
Fair
back.
enough, I guess.
Yeah.
For those who are not in the know and haven't played quite as long, Hollow Projector used to be a tiered piece of equipment. The level 3 would allow you to use it while still being in a fire team, where otherwise, just like now, Hollow Projector is not compatible with fire team because it is a marker state.
Mhm.
So the more you know.
Yeah. But yeah, him being the only smoke and the disco baller being only on a 30, 40 point model, 30 something point model, it definitely, as you said, limits the visibility control.
Yeah, and Ironsides are not terribly easy to fire team. Like you're dedicating to a duo, you're dedicating about 75, 80 points. Either 2 of them or 1 Andrakios. Like that's what you've got.
Mm-hmm.
Or you pair it with a Juggernaut, but that's a whole nother
Right. That's
problem
different.
of points.
Oh, that's right. He counts as a dragon though. So it could be him and Drakios. And yeah, that's going to be up there in those points.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
like
even
there's
if no one
it's
else
not
is with
like they
them.
can yeah, it's not like they can join a Harbinger team and, okay, I'll take a pair of
Mhm.
Harbingers to give them a special die or what have you.
Right.
But yeah, so again, kind of where the fire teams are flexible, but also sort of restrictive.
Yeah, I would say they're more restrictive than flexible, but I guess they are flexible, particularly because the Shadow Fire team now allows you to not have to
Hmm.
have Patrocles. Shadow Fire team is really your Harbinger Fire team because that's where you can have 5 of them. In the Harbinger Fire teams, you only have 4 of them, which is
That's
kind of
fair.
weird.
That is a little weird.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that kind of gives at least a reasonable framing of the sectorial in terms of some of the things that they're good and not so good at. But I think now we can kind of take some time to go through some of the profiles. Now, again, other people kind of talked about profiles more in depth. This, I think, we're going to have a bit more high level and talk about some things that stand out to us and what makes them interesting. Um, but yeah, you guys want to kind of round robin some profiles here? Does someone want
Hmm.
to start?
Oh yeah, I'll start with the Tech Dragons. Like, I love them. I
Yeah,
think they're awesome. And if CB listens to this, like I said in their super secret Discord, if you don't put out a box of these, like, I just can't take you seriously as a company anymore. Right? I mean, people are going to want them.
it's true.
Like, the Black Hearts are just awesome ARO guys. They're expensive, but you put 2 of them in the Pandora Fire Team, which is, I think you're going to have a research fire team often, right? And
I
they
think
can
so.
stand up, they can shoot well because they have I think they have mimetism, right? Yeah, they have mimetism,
Yeah.
2 wounds, armor 2, and when you get hit, when you take your first wound, you can just try to back off. They're religious, so they might fail, right? But you can try to back off, therefore
Hmm.
preserving that order. And the cheapest one
Right.
is probably the one you want because you can Panzerfaust a couple times, then you fall back on your contender, right? If you're doing long range
Hmm.
arrows. And if you're just outclassed totally, you just throw out a viral mine to defend yourself. Right.
Yeah, the viral
All
mind
real
dispenser is awful.
right. Real good. And the steel jaws, um, they tack onto different fire team units and they basically give them a close combat presence in addition to whatever else they're doing. Like in one of my lists, I linked one with my Juggernaut, right? And he'll just be drug around with the
Sure.
Juggernaut as he does his thing. And then at the end of the
Hmm.
turn, he'll spend his order to break off and lay a viral mine so that before you can get to my Juggernaut, you got to get to a viral mine, then you got to get to the steel jaw, then you get to the Juggernaut, right? The
Hmm.
layered defense to hopefully have it survive a turn not when it is outside of my deployment zone.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they're in so many fire teams. Like they're
right. You
in
can just
probably
tag
what
them along
close
with
to
almost
half.
anyone to make it deadly to get up close to these guys. Because you definitely don't want to start your turn, around the corner from a couple of line infantry and their steel jaw.
Right. They have a template weapon. They have
Mhm.
AP viral close combat.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
And they have
something we talked
grenades,
about.
which is awesome. They can just chuck
Yeah.
grenades over the wall at you.
Yeah, that's a funny visual.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's the standout unit to me. Both or all the tech dragons.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, one that surprised me was the Stinger. The Stinger
I think they're
actually
Morats.
seemed yeah, right? They kind of feel that way a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
sure hope they're not.
It would be really funny. But the
That would
Morats, they
break
decided
a
they
lot
like
of the
you.
fluff. Yeah, that would break a lot of next wave fluff, so I really
Yeah,
hope they're not,
that's true.
but they're really interesting. Like, they do seem a bit fragile. I mean, they're 1 wound, armor 1,
Mm-hmm.
but they just kind of pile on some mods. They have
Mm-hmm.
NCO, they have, Warhorse. They're religious, which, is kind of a double-edged sword. But yeah, BS attack -3 plus mimetism -3,
Mm-hmm.
and throwing that into, like, I ran in the list that I was trying that's more Fireteam based, had that in a research team with Pandora and a Steeljaw, so they had some reach with the heavy machine gun. But the multi-marksman rifle with MSV2 is also really interesting. They just put in a lot more work than I expected.
Yeah, it's got a
Like,
good
they're
suite of skills.
solid.
And the points level is a little high for a 1 wound guy, but it's definitely not
Right.
terrible. And they bring in the NCO, which I think is kind of clutch. 'Cause there's a
Yeah, it
couple of
helps a lot.
lieutenant choices where you're not always going to be using that on your lieutenant.
And sometimes even if you are, they might just be in a fire team and you just don't want to break it
Right.
yet.
Right. I think that would be one of those situations where you're not using it.
Yeah.
I had the killer hacker one in one of my lists because it's basically he fills out the fire team, and there's not a lot of
Mhm.
killer hackers in the list except for Bit and Kiss and then the camo guy.
Yeah, Contrabandolero and the
Yeah.
Cliff Jumper, I think,
The Cliff
are
Jumper's off
the only
board.
ones. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, their killer hackers are limited
Like you said, the hacking game's not top tier.
for sure. Yeah, it's definitely feels pretty middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what about you, Ian?
So one of the ones that's really kind of standing out for me is the Wraith 1 Clandestine Action Group, because they're
interesting.
Yeah, no, I like the idea from what I'm looking at on the profile. So they have either hidden deployment modes with multi-marksman rifle or a multi-sniper rifle, but they also have a multi-marksman rifle FTO that can link with the Harbingers. And I like this unit because it's got a combination of biometric visor, MSV1, and marksmanship.
Mm-hmm.
So while he's not like a super great stat line overall, I can see him having a lot of utility, both the hidden deployment and the fire team versions, in hunting down like some problem pieces and having the tool set to kind of get to them.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of the who's the impersonator? The Greif operator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot, and I love the Greif operator. So yeah, this guy definitely has some utility.
But yeah, I think he's just a really neat profile with, does stuff that not a lot of other things in the faction do. He has kind of his own little niche.
Mm-hmm. I do wish that the sniper one had the forward deployment 4 inches.
Yes, I do as well.
Yeah, you can often get to a really good position that you just couldn't quite get to without that. So,
yeah.
But people have been poo-pooing on, why do I want my sniper closer to the enemy so much? I guess that they aren't doing that anymore.
It's about getting the angles also.
Oh, for sure.
You're good outside of 16 inches. That leaves tons of board, even if you're up.
Yeah. One of the key things that newer players can learn is horizontal arrows are better than vertical arrows. Right.
Yeah.
From my board to your board edge, that's going to be hard. You're probably going to get killed. But looking from my left to my right, that's real good. You're probably going to catch someone out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, they're harder to see, so people aren't necessarily going to make as good decisions. They might move somewhere that they might not have otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why the ninja sniper is still such a utility piece.
Oh, agreed. And the shrouded sniper is a sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he shows up, he catches people. Yeah. You want to go over one more unit each?
Yeah, I think that would be good. I'm going to say I really think that the Skyhound is really interesting. Like, it's a cool vehicle. It doesn't feel like massively powerful, but it feels like just really good. Like, it's got a good spread. I think it's funny that it has Discover +6 and not Sensor intentionally, so that you can't like zip up to the midfield.
I mean, the ISS one does, so
sweep an entire area.
Yeah.
But Discover's kind of funny. That's true, but it doesn't have a effectively plasma rifle.
Yeah.
And I love the plasma rifle. It's a carbine +1 burst, but it's almost a rifle. Notably, it can't suppress, which is important. But the AP Thunderbolt's cool. The mine dispenser,
I think that's the coolest part
with
about
shock
it.
mines on both is really nice.
I think the mine dispenser is the coolest part about it because with that was an 11-inch first move, you can zip up, put a mine somewhere cool, zip over, put a mine somewhere cool, go back, reload, come up, and you could really put some like a real minefield out with just like maybe 5 orders. You put it in your secondary group and have it just do that for the first turn.
Sure.
Doesn't have to go get itself killed. Just has to set up a minefield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I really like that there's a couple mine dispensers in the faction because those are really fun tools that I like to use. Like you had mentioned earlier, like if an engagement's not favorable, or like what I've done with the Rudra Gunbot in OSS, is that if I see something crossing, and it wasn't necessarily even planning on engaging the Rudra, but if I think I can just reasonably tank it, Like, all right, well, I'm just going to shoot a couple mines or shoot a mine over here. Maybe not even the same direction. Maybe I want to cover something else. Yeah. Mine dispensers are really cool pieces
Yes.
of gear. I
They are
like them a
fun.
lot, and I'm glad we're seeing a few more. But ES14 is really nice. Like most of the vehicles, I mean, now with the update, the Red Eye I think is 14.
No,
I think that's the only other one.
The BS14 is
That's
real
BS14
high
off the top of my head.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, it's pretty potent. Yeah, exactly. And it's, it's got a relatively sturdy ARM4 BTS6.
And with the added tech recovery, it makes it much more reliable.
Yeah, it's less catastrophic if you run into some EM. Unless, of course, you don't run
That
into
happens.
Gizmo, kid, like I didn't in that last game. And it gets crit with an emitter on the
That's
first
rough.
order. Like,
Ian, do you have one? I know what I want my
Yeah.
last one to be, but go ahead.
All right. I mean, I don't know if we're
It's
going to
heavy.
step on each other's toes, but I'll go.
Go for it.
I mean, I like the big boys. I got to go with the Juggernaut.
Okay, awesome. It was not mine, so good. Yeah,
Good. I like tags, and I like that this one is different from any other tag in the game. That it's much more in that it's running up, it's climbing plus, it has extra CC attack on a okay CC skill. It doesn't have really any other stuff on it, but the guard helps. And I don't know, just the whole theme of it comes together in a really cool way. And I really am a big fan of the plasma Spitfire that it's basically rocking.
Right.
That's just so gross. And I like the profile as a whole. Yes, it's kind of pricey in the 78 to 82 point range, but I think that it is something, especially with the Techno Organic, that you can support effectively in a number of ways to have it just kind of go on a rampage and be your main attack piece.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great crusher unit. And as I said earlier, I love that you can put a steel jaw with it to protect it. Right, and its little duo. I think that's great. I think all of its loadouts are viable.
Yeah. Like you can play it more traditionally with the multi-H&G, but like the plasma rifle is obviously the fun profile. Like that's where you
all
want
the
to go
templates
and
all the time.
You want to go fisticuff some people.
Right, heavy rocket launcher or that's awesome.
Yeah, I really love that the tag feels very unique and it does something different, but it doesn't feel overbearing. Yeah, it's just a really fun design. Like even if it's not necessarily the best tag in its points bracket, I think that it's just really interesting. And I like that about a lot of the faction where there's a lot of cool pieces that are added to things, but it doesn't feel like bloat. It's like, yeah, this unit has a lot of abilities or a lot of gear, but it's reasonable for me to get enough use out of these as opposed to, here's my CC 15 dude with a monofilament close combat weapon and dodge plus 2 inches on
a lot of stuff,
10
but
type
you,
deal.
as you said, you can reasonably use it all, and I feel like they're paying for it. It's not like the Hatamoto, where I don't know, they just kind of snuck in that natural born warrior and the mimetism without paying for them or something.
It definitely feels pretty cheap for sure.
The new unit that I will bring up as mine, it's Ruby Monday,
Reuben.
and I think, like the Sasha, this is going to be a really fun model to play. Any mission that has panoplies,
I could see
like
it,
she's a
for sure.
shoe-in for me, right? Because she might not get a real gun on her first booty, but to get 2 or 3 booty rolls where you didn't get a real gun, that seems unlikely. And not having to make the whip roll to open the panoply is great.
Fair.
Right. Yeah.
And immune to immobilize
just,
B.
Just
fantastic.
Yeah, she's a little bit of Ariadne in the combined army finally.
Yeah, Ruby Monday is pretty interesting. I haven't played any Sachas yet. I usually like.
I know you're well known for disdain of mercenaries, but and the Sachas apparently
where they
belong all
don't
over the
belong.
place. Right. More importantly, though, it's just a fun model to play.
She'll have a home after the
It's
season.
got a lot of cool, rules like the forward deployment and the climbing plus, and you can try to chase down the treasures during the game. And sometimes you get an HMG, then of course you just immediately get yourself killed trying to use it. But yeah, I really enjoyed playing the Sashas. I try to work them into all my lists. In addition to the potential for scoring an objective point, somewhat easy with it.
Yeah, and being able
that's
to
what I
just
mean.
nab a classified with secure treasure with her on a
Mhm.
semi-guaranteed basis is nice for sure. But yeah, and Ruby Monday is just kind of a
Mhm.
souped-up version, heavy infantry Sacha, more or less,
Mhm.
which is pretty cool.
The
Like really mobile, dodges
only thing that
well.
she needs,
Is still a
yeah, I
specialist.
mean, all of her +1 burst is great, but the only thing the profile really needs is some clause where it can get treasures also,
Yeah.
just like a Sasha. And I can see why it's not there, but it would be cool to be there.
Sure,
Hmm. I agree.
Yeah. I guess it could also be a character, which
sure.
it's not. Right, but it doesn't have the character. I'm looking at
That's
it.
kind of what it
Right.
Yeah.
seems like. But it's listed as mercenary. Yeah, it's listed as mercenary
Just
Yeah.
troop and
screams
not
character.
character. But like that
Right. I
screams
agree.
like
And that would give
this
it
is a
more ability to do
individual to me.
classifieds, which would be cool. Oh, strangely, it has techno organic as
Yeah.
like a couple other weird things in the game got it. Like Victor Messer got it for some reason.
Okay.
And I thought there was one more. Oh, he did, yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
there was one more that he
He got a
got
lot
that
of
he or
stuff.
that someone else got techno organic that I was like, oh, I didn't expect that, but I don't remember now if that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure
This
No,
offhand.
for
is
sure.
such a big
Yeah.
update.
It was a big update.
Yeah. Oh, and a few other people got access to the Ruby, which is cool too. Like Kestrel, I think it's Corregidor. Yeah,
Oh,
Corregidor. Oh yeah, and
yep.
Shibuya. Yeah, sure, that makes sense.
And
If Kestrel got it,
OSS
the
and
Shibuya guy
Shinden.
probably did. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, pretty fun unit. You can do some interesting stuff, and like feels again kind of
Mm-hmm.
you get that some of those points back on the irregular, and with your fire masters you can usually afford it because you're not crew irregular. But what if you're getting shot and you know
Mm-hmm.
that you just
Mm-hmm.
can't fight back?
Mm-hmm.
You can't
Yeah,
hit
yeah.
them.
That's when you
They're too
dodge. It's
far
great.
away. They're Mim
Yeah.
6.
You do, and you still probably fail and get
You
killed.
dodge
Good
a
job.
bit better, a fair
Right.
bit better. Probably. There will be no
Right.
reporting back to the hegemony.
Mhm.
But yeah, pretty interesting faction for sure. And I think with that, we're just about ready to
Mhm.
transition to our final thoughts on our first impressions of Next Wave. But I did want to take a moment and thank our patrons for supporting the show. We really appreciate all of your contributions. It helps us out tremendously with software subscriptions and hardware upgrades. And we're looking to get, hopefully, other equipment so that we can do more and better quality videos and things like that. So if that's something you're willing and able to do, you can check us out on patreon.com/metachemistry. And as a show of gratitude, we like to offer some benefits in return, like final voting on polls, early access to episodes, some private channels on our Discord, and things like that. And speaking of, if you just want to join the metachemistry community, the best place to do so is on our Discord. You can find that in the show notes as always. And other than a couple of those private channels, it's a free and open place to chat more Infinity. In case you're not part of enough servers, I'm sure it's not just me, but I know most of us probably are in a lot of these. But if you are looking, we'd love to have you. And you'll be entered in for the Mo Games coupon code every
Mhm.
month that we mentioned at the top of the episode. So there's that. But with that said, Ian, Reuben, final thoughts
I'll
on
go first,
Next
and
Wave.
as I said in the beginning, I'm really excited to lean into a sectorial pretty hard, having never really done that. I've played the other combined army sectorials, but not too seriously. And yeah, I'm excited to see what I can do with all these weird linked teams and crazy units like the tag and the flyer seems really good with that BS-14.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be setting some minefields with him for sure.
For sure.
For me,
Yeah,
I think it's a
absolutely.
really cool faction. I like that
Yeah.
list building seems to be a little bit difficult because that enforces choices, and I like that a faction can't do and be the best at everything all the time. So that appeals to me a lot, and I really like the visual aesthetic and design language that they've been using for this, where it has that very much the bit and Kodali aesthetic
Mhm.
to it, which I think is a great unifying look on it. But then, little elements from the rest of Combined Army. So like the weapons are very Shazvasti coded and different things like that. So you get kind of a lot of that's visual language while it's still being very much human while Combined Army. And I think it's actually also smart on Corvus Belli's part because while Combined
Mhm.
Army as a whole is kind of an outlier as far as wargaming goes, because it is one of the most popular factions. The thing is that traditionally across the industry, non-human factions don't tend to sell as well. So that's why Combined
Mhm.
Army is a bit of an outlier. But I think it's also smart to have what is now effectively a human version of Combined Army, and I think that'll get a lot of the people that are in that like borderline, well, I don't really care for the alien aesthetic to maybe jump into playing with Combined Army now.
Mhm. There's definitely gonna be a lot of this running around.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, arguably, I think it's the dinosaurs that have done that, not the humans. I'm pretty sure big beasties have I've seen so many Zoids gifs and memes and uh, and Lisa Lizard Queen memes and yeah. So a lot of that for sure. And I've talked about this, well before this is released, but once we were looking at the possibility of this coming out, I was
Mhm.
not thrilled about the prospect of another Combined Army
Mhm.
Sectorial, and certainly not at Alepht's expense. But I think
Mhm.
I like the overall design of the faction. I'm really excited for
Mhm.
OSS to get its rework next year. Austria, you said so. You promised.
Mhm.
You said you were seeing designs already on your desk. We talked about it.
Mhm.
Sometimes
He says
maybe
a
you
lot of
listen to
things,
these
though.
episodes, and so I'm calling you out.
I mean,
I don't know if you do. It's true. But to be fair, he did say that he saw designs crossing his desk and that they're actually it's in active production,
all
at
right,
least in
fair
like the
enough.
design phase. So it should be coming out next year. Because and he brought it up. I didn't ask. Because I told him
Mhm.
this was at Gen Con this year where
Okay.
I had my army with me and I said I brought OSS. Said that oh yeah, you'll be very happy with this. We're working on OSS right now.
Awesome.
It'll be out
Yeah.
next year. So, no promises to what that looks like, but that it's there, which I believe that. I don't believe things change too
Right.
fast to believe anything more specific than it exists. But back to Next Wave. I love that they feel distinct. I love that the faction doesn't feel wildly
Mhm.
powerful or overpowered or whatever terminology you want to use, because it has distinct weaknesses, but it does have some interesting strengths. It uses kind of what feels like a little bit of a different design
Mhm.
ethos compared to other factions. And I really think that that's a fun thing to see in the game, because something that happens in many games, like power creep is a natural part of game design in general. Like you
Yeah.
kind of can't
Until the
avoid it more
reset,
or
this
less
is
if you're
usually
going
a
to
big
keep
addition
producing a
change.
game. But it's not like
Yeah.
right, exactly. And that's kind of how you tame things again. But I like that it doesn't feel like, oh, Next Wave is the new hotness, so now it's going to have all the best stuff and it's going to be overtly the most powerful thing that you can get or things like that. And I like that Infinity
Mhm.
has very little of that in its design, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, it also helps a lot that we effectively got all the other factions got updates alongside this release.
Yeah.
There
Too
were a
many,
lot of
maybe.
updates, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Right? Yeah, for sure.
A lot to parse.
I just learned the Anthematic
But
lost his hidden
yeah.
deployment lieutenant like yesterday. I'm like, oh my
Mhm.
god, what the heck? What is this? Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like now you don't need to choose, you just don't get it. But yeah, well, Reuben, thanks again for joining us. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, and we really appreciate your competitive perspective on Combined Army and kind of how some of this fits in. So it's been great to have you.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Absolutely. Well, on behalf of Meta Chemistry, this has been Devin.
Ian.
And Reuben, and that's the meta.